Mike Mulhern from MikeMulhern.net. Just off the phone with one of our deep throats. Yes, sir. We got the scoop. Unfortunately, there's no news there. We had some good stuff going, too. Things go like that in Major League Auto Racing. The big story, of course, at Daytona today is Jeremy Mayfield. And I have no idea what the judge said, except that he didn't like NASCAR's drug policy. And Jeremy could race here if he wanted to, but he didn't show up. His truck didn't show up. Maybe next week at Chicago we'll find out what's going on. The judge has said it's okay for him to race. We'll see where he races. And the drivers we talked to were all really confused. They thought, well, you're either guilty or you're not guilty, or you're positive or you're negative, and the judge says he didn't like any of that stuff, threw it all out basically. NASCAR doesn't know whether it's going to appeal. We've been waiting all day for somebody from NASCAR to come down and say, well, we're going to appeal, or no, we're not going to appeal, or something. We haven't seen anybody from NASCAR all day on any of this stuff, and that's been the big story. Well, that's one of the big stories. What we were just working on was the 2010 schedule. We told you last week that Bruton Smith at Loudon was talking with Mike Helton about a lot of things. We got chewed out for that. Nah, meeting never happened. Well, we just confirmed it on the phone. Yes, there was a meeting, and Bruton was there, and NASCAR was there, and they were talking about trucks, among other things, okay? Jeez, you can't trust anybody in this business anymore, except MikeMulhern.net. Some of the time. Most of the time. Well, half the time, maybe. Okay, trucks. The latest we're getting is California's Auto Club Speedway is out. Truck races just don't work there for some reason. They ought to work, but they don't. They've tried Friday nights, they've tried Saturdays, they've tried all sorts of things. It's an expensive trip out there. So I'm hearing, MikeMulhern.net is hearing that the California truck race next year, canceled. They're going to run Richmond instead, add Richmond to the schedule, and then probably cut about 3 other races. So instead of a 25 race season, it's going to be a 22 race season. That's what we're hearing. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? Very flexible situation right now. We don't know about sponsorships. We don't know if Camping World's going to be back. We don't know anything about all that sort of stuff. But we do know that it looks like NASCAR's taking a serious look at trucks to make that series more inexpensive. Good idea. Good idea. We're also looking at the 2010 NASCAR Sprint Cup schedule. And what we're seeing, couldn't confirm it, is that Las Vegas becomes the last race of the season. They drop the Sonoma race, and they add Kentucky. Just kidding, just kidding. That's what we thought we heard this morning. 4 or 5 guys came up to me and said, Mulhern, you got to check this out. Sonoma, we hear it's off the schedule. We hear Kentucky's on the schedule. We hear Las Vegas is getting a second date at the end of the season. So we've been checking with all our sources, all our contacts. NASCAR's not saying a thing about anything. Couldn't find anywhere from NASCAR hardly today. None of that's true. California, Sonoma. The Sonoma track is going to be there next year. We talked to John Cardinale out there. He checked again. Same time, June. Nice market. I remember a couple of years ago, Bruton Smith tried to pull a fast one on Billy Jr. and threatened to pull the date from Sonoma and move it to Las Vegas. Billy Jr. said, there's no way we're giving up the San Francisco market, one of the biggest in the country. Maybe that was on the table for a couple of minutes. Maybe he got the same answer this time. Maybe there's nothing to it. All I know is that the people at Sonoma say they're on the schedule again next year. The people at Las Vegas say no end of the season race, that ISE is not going to give that up from Homestead. Makes sense to me. If I owned the last season race, I wouldn't give it up, but then Bruton did. Not sure how that's going to work out. And on the track, we have the usual tire problems. When you got a green track at Daytona, at these kind of speeds, you have some tire problems. Jeff Gordon had some tire problems. David Reagan had some tire problems. Several guys had tire problems, usually the right rear. Of course, it was hot today, 140-degree track temperature, and now it's raining a little bit, so it's going to be a green track tomorrow for qualifying. Impound race. Guys don't get to work on their cars after they qualify. David Reagan was fastest in the afternoon session, but it was hot. I don't know if that's going to hold up when they qualify. They qualify tomorrow, Friday, about 4 o'clock East Coast time. He ran 190, but most people are setting up for the race. And that's the story. Daytona International Speedway, the world center of racing. Mike Mulhern from MikeMulhern.net. Thursday afternoon, practice at Daytona.